Hey guys, so for the reaction video, even though this video came out 2 years ago, I still wanted to do it because it actually can be considered up to date about Jon Moxley, so to speak. Now, as you all know, he was Dean Ambrose in the WWE, and he recently departed from WWE in April because due to his new heel character, he did not like being this new character, and he basically felt like he was just being shoved down the WWE Universe's throats. And basically, ever since when it was announced about Dean possibly not renewing his contract, he just started becoming a jobber and started losing every single match he came across, even to losing his final match on Raw, which really sucked. And then recently he signed with All Elite Wrestling. Now, I said I will be doing coverage on them. I'm not doing this only doing WWE stuff just because I only support WWE. I like all wrestling, but I just need to find some more stuff. I'm actually going to be doing a reaction I'm going to do some research, and with all the talks that like Macho T and a lot of other WWE games YouTubers are talking about is about the All Elite Wrestling game. So I'm going to look up some information and kind of share my side of the story and do some research on the possibility of an AEW video game. Now, back to Moxley. He recently appeared at All Elite Wrestling's first pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing, in Las Vegas, and he attacked Kenny Omega in the main event match. And now, a few days later, he ended up winning the IWGP United States Championship in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And now he's in the G1 Climax. But I decided to watch this video because I'm actually curious, is because Jon was actually a rather strange individual. Now, a little fun fact, the name Jon Moxley is actually the name he used when he was wrestling in the indies, like Combat Zone Wrestling and a bunch of other wrestling companies before joining WWE and becoming Dean Ambrose. And then when he left the WWE in April, he started using his old Jon Moxley character. And a little fun fact, he almost appeared in TNA because he tried to audition, but he did not make the cut because he was almost going to be in TNA. So this video is by What Culture Wrestling. You can check out their channel. They do all kinds of wrestling content. They do coverage on wrestling events. They do top 10s. They do everything. They also have two other channels, What Culture and What Culture Gaming. But I decided to do this video kind of in the light of how Moxley's doing outside of the WWE now. And I will leave a link in the description to What Culture Wrestling's channel, and I will leave a link in the description to the original video. And I do not own any of this content. It's owned by What Culture Wrestling. This is their content. I'm not stealing it. I'm just taking the time to react to a video that they made. So here we go. 10 facts the WWE wants you to forget about Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley. That's going to be the title for the video.
Lunatic Fringe. I hate that nickname. To me, that will always conjure an image of someone being eaten alive by their own haircut, and now it'll be the same way for you forever. You're welcome. Also, in the UK, Ambrose is a brand of custard. What I'm trying to say is I've had to forget a lot of ingrained things to truly appreciate Dean Ambrose during his now overrun as WWE World Champion, and it turns out there's a catalogue of others that Vince Sweat Lodge would like to misremember when it comes to one of SmackDown's top guys. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 things WWE want you to forget about Dean Ambrose. Number 10, the wacky line. I also hate this name. For many, the unhinged and dangerous Dean Ambrose of 2014 was brilliant, and those people, myself included, believe we lost something truly special when Ambrose started dicking around with hot dog carts, dressing up as a policeman, hiding guns in briefcases, and other things that committees of humorless corporate bastards classify as trademark bonkers. The nadir was when they named that god-awful clothesline that Ambrose does. You know, the oopsie-daisy I'm falling, no I'm not clothesline was officially named the wacky line. Seriously, in the...
I actually did not know that John's rebound lariat was actually called the wacky line, which, for his character, the wacky line, I'm going to say this, that has got to be the dumbest name for a clothesline, lariat, or basically any big strike maneuver. Now, I remember playing WWE Mayhem with my Dean Ambrose character, and it was called the Lunatic Lariat. Now, I don't know if it was actually called that on TV or if it was just called that for the game, but now that I think about it, after hearing about that his lariat was originally called the Wacky Line, I like the Lunatic Lariat a whole hell of a lot better.
Royal Rumble, Michael Cole calls it the Wacky Line. In the Royal Rumble, zany Uncle Dean and his wacky line. I hate all life. Number 9, Dean Ambrose, interview gold. If you've heard Dean Ambrose being interviewed, you'll know that the dude tells it like it is, much to the chagrin of his paymasters. On Talk is Jericho, Ambrose said that he hasn't liked a single promo he's done in WWE, that the first time that someone handed him a sheet of paper with a promo on it, it was a throw-up-in-your-mouth kind of moment. On the now famous Austin podcast interview, Ambrose once again ragged on WWE's scripted promos and accused Brock Lesnar, Vince's top prize fighter, of laziness and refusing to work with him to create a great WrestleMania match. As much respect as Ambrose gets...
Dean was actually being really honest because he said that Brock was being lazy. Now, also, guys, if you guys watched Extreme Rules, I wasn't able to watch it, but I managed to get the results, and I found out that Brock cashed in on Seth after the winner-take-all Extreme Rules mixed tag match. And quite frankly, I'm actually pretty pissed off about the fact because when Brock has the Universal title, he never shows up to defend it. So what Moxley said is actually really, really true, that Brock was actually being lazy. I remember watching the match, the no-holds-barred street fight that they had at WrestleMania 32. There were so many weapons. Dean, or Moxley... I think, okay, just a quick thing. You guys comment down below how many times I say both of his names, whether it's Dean or Ambrose or John or Moxley. Count how many times I say those different names if you want to. But Dean, he actually said when he got there, Brock showed up, the show was almost about to start. Brock had apparently just gotten there, and John was trying to tell Brock about all the ideas that John had for their match, and Brock was not wanting to be there, and he just basically wanted to do the match and just go home and all that. Watching the match, I seen John grab some weapons that actually could have had some potential. He had a barbed wire bat, which brings you back to the early 2000s and everything. Hell, he even pulled out a damn chainsaw. He couldn't start it. He tried to start it, then Brock hit it from behind, but the fact is that he brought back such a nostalgic weapon, a barbed wire baseball bat. I was really upset that it never got used throughout the match. Then, if I remember correctly, Dean, what he used to do, he would get a whole bunch of chairs from out of the ring and just pile them on, just keep tossing them in the ring till there was a small pile in the middle of the ring. But then I remember, I think Brock F5'd Moxley onto those chairs and then just win the match like that, which has got to be the crappiest end to a no-holds-barred contest that I've ever seen in my life. So overall, John's right about Brock being lazy.
In his mind, it must infuriate the company he keeps slagging off. Number 8, the bear costume. DJ Hyde is the fellow that owns CZW, and oh, we're going to get to that, don't worry. He has a story about Dean Ambrose, and considering that WWE is technically still PG, I don't think they want it getting out. Basically, long story short, he wants to f*** someone whilst wearing a bear costume. To be fair, short story long, apparently Dean Ambrose got drunk, I presume, put on a bear costume and then had sex with a lady while still wearing it, whilst also cutting a promo as well. Maybe that's why WWE script him as heavily as they do. Number 7...
I'm surprised that all the stuff that they just said, I'm surprised that YouTube didn't get on them about that. I'm not going to repeat any of it, but just hearing that, the fact that he did it at work, cutting a promo. Look, I like Moxley. He's one of my favorites, but good grief. And the next one, wrestling drunk. I'm not sure I even want to know what the story behind this one.
Wrestling drunk. Dean Ambrose is a big bad party legend. If you want more proof than the bear costume, here it is. He once took part in something called a drunken death match for the IWA against
Drunken
a lovely
death
fellow
match.
called Neil Diamond Cutter. Do you get it? It was a death match with barbed wire on the ring ropes, weapons aplenty, and shots of Jack Daniels throughout. It may not be the behavior becoming of a now ex-WWE champion in this day and age, but look it up online because seeing a wasted Dean Ambrose jumping into a bemused crowd to sing Sweet Caroline deserves to be in his Hall of Fame package one day. Number 6, trying out for TNA.
That was strange. I remember watching another What Culture video called the 8 craziest Japanese death matches. A lot of them I was actually really shocked that they even do that stuff. But a drunken death match. I'm gonna have to look up that match, see if it's even on YouTube still, and I'll react to it for you guys. So now this is what I was talking about earlier, him trying out for TNA.
Yep, in 2008. And not only that, but he didn't end up with a full contract. WWE still don't acknowledge their current stars and their dalliances with total non-stop action. And, oh, like tits and ass. That's why they call themselves TNA. It's a joke. It's a joke. Like, the name of the company could also be Tits and Ass. But it isn't. But it could be a company struggling to remain relevant in increasingly dire financial times with loads of really talented wrestlers trying to achieve legitimacy. It's also something that's a sex joke. Well, that's awful. Number 5, losing to Adam Rose. Unlike several of his main roster peers, including Seth Rollins...
Honestly, I kind of completely forgot about Adam Rose, honestly.
World Heavyweight Championship in either its NXT or Florida Championship Wrestling form. The closest he came was a 2011 Fatal 4-Way match for the FCW Florida Heavyweight Championship, but he came up short against Leo Kruger, now better known as Adam Rose. So yeah, what happens in developmental stays in developmental, guys, especially with those naughty, filthy rosebuds. And WWE would probably prefer fans never find out that one of their top baby faces lost a title match to Rose, a man who saw his main roster career sputter and die after an aborted feud with a rabbit before leaving the company on rather ignominious terms. As an interesting side note, the other 2 competitors in that 4-way were Husky Harris, aka Bray Wyatt, and Damien Sandow. God, life's weird. Number 4, his shoot interview. You all know shoot interviews, the ones where retired wrestlers and bookers sit down for an hour or two and tell stories about the wrestling, with everyone really hoping they're going to be as mean as humanly possible. Jim Cornette is pretty much the king of shoot videos in that regard, but did you know that Dean Ambrose already has one out there? It's called Stories from the Streets, the John Moxley story, that's what Dean Ambrose used to be called, released through Smart Mark Video, and, well, look at that cover. Doesn't that look like something that belongs on a WWE merch stall right next to the armbands? When you actually watch the thing, it just gets better and worse. Early on, he talks about his mother saying, "We both love pussy and drugs, so there was mutual ground." There's lots of stories about drugs and, in his words, banging 18-year-old sluts. And yeah, it's not coming to the network anytime soon. Number 3, the Mick Foley angle.
Now I understand why they say Jon Moxley is such a strange individual. But then, he was younger at this time. He probably wouldn't do what he did now, but just saying that, I am surprised that... I know how YouTube is with trying to keep the content family friendly and everything, but this is actually... I'm actually surprised that they didn't get on What Culture for this, but I'm actually kind of nervous about when the video comes out, that with the stuff that was just said, or stuff that they said that Moxley said, that since I'm not an official YouTuber, I'm not getting money yet, that I might get this taken down, so this might be my third video getting taken down. I'm hoping that this one doesn't get taken down due to copyright because What Culture is actually a big internet thing. So I'm hoping like my stuff does not get taken down because of this. And so I'm just hoping that because of the stuff that was said on here, since it won't like affect my channel or anything. I'm not going to hate Moxley for it. It's just the fact that the stuff that he said, I didn't even know he would even go that far to end up saying that, which I don't know what it has to do with wrestling, but he was probably talking, but then he's talking about his life, how he grew up on the streets and everything, so enough chit-chat.
Ambrose made his WWE main roster debut as part of a stable called The Shield. You may have heard of them, not sure if they're still with the
I remember The Shield.
So
what am I saying? Everybody
that
does.
That wasn't the original plan for Mr. Dino. The Shield debuted at Survivor Series 2012, but Ambrose was supposed to debut before that, before SummerSlam, and actually wrestle at that event. His dance partner? Mick Foley. The feud was going to be built on social media. In a strange work-shoot angle, Ambrose, then only a member of FCW, confronted Foley at a hotel in WrestleMania season. He demanded that Mick be held accountable for a generation of hardcore wrestlers before being led away by security. Then the two engaged in a Twitter feud that made Foley legit uncomfortable when Ambrose started tweeting about making Mick's kids homeless orphans. The feud was finally scrapped after Foley couldn't be cleared to wrestle by doctors because if he does, all of his bones will explode. WWE then blocked footage of the hotel confrontation on Facebook, so the feud has definitely been buried. Number 2, Titty Master. Dean Ambrose has had some bad nicknames in his
I remember this
the
meme.
Lunatic Fringe, The Dude, Mutton Chop Thompson, Manky Jeans, Bad Hair Brown, and Simon Dean Ambrose. But the weirdest is by far and away Titty Master. Do you reckon Ambrose regrets showing up for a house show with the words Titty and Master written on the tape on his hands? Thanks to one eagle-eyed fan, the unique title spread throughout social media in a matter of days, soon becoming his unofficial nickname.
I remember that. This is not what I remember it as. I remember it was like a meme or something when Dean was like having like a therapy session and he was like giving pictures and he was supposed to describe what they are. I didn't know that was actually a thing that he put on his hand tape. I'm learning so much about it that I thought I knew a lot about Ambrose, but you always learn something new every day.
The name actually originates from a European tour where Ambrose wrestled Big E a lot, who has a big chest. He was the master of Big E's titties, it seems. Sure, regardless if that origin story is true, it's a decidedly un-PC name, and WWE might have been popping up on a sign during the Shield's entrance at WrestleMania 30. And number 1, his time in CZW. It used to be a rule of thumb that no matter what you did before you came to WWE,
Bryan,
that career you had, that life is over now.
Seth
Wipe
Rollins,
the hard drive factory reset, here's your new name and number. Now, this isn't a blanket rule like it used to be. WWE have started capitalizing on some of their stars' illustrious pasts, Nakamura, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, but for a lot of the roster, their days in promotions like Ring of Honor, TNA, PWG are all buried, and that goes double for Dean's days in CZW. For fans unaware of Combat Zone Wrestling, nowadays it's not quite as hardcore as it used to be, but in the days of John Moxley, it was a haven of blood, barbed wire, and glass. Some examples of horrible things that Dean Ambrose did in CZW: be stabbed repeatedly in the head with a fork, take a power saw to the forehead, take a staple gun to his opponent's heads, and then also light tubes and barbed wire and broken glass. All the fun of the fair. Dean Ambrose has a very violent past, which WWE might want you to forget, lest you realise that their version of the Lunatic Fringe ain't nowhere near as lunatic as he used to be. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.
Here I come. Here I come. The reviews are in for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What a picture. Good picture. Esquire calls it brilliant.
Okay, so that was actually a really interesting video. I learned a lot about Dean Ambrose or John Moxley that I didn't even know. Like some of the things I thought there was only like one certain thing, only to find out that, and find out what a bunch of stuff he said, like what he did growing up and all that. But overall, that was actually really interesting. Now, if you guys want to see me do more 10 things that WWE wants to forget about a certain wrestler, let me know in the comments down below. And also coming later today, as it is 4:55 in the morning, as you can see on my screen. And I'm going to be making a video later today. I'm going to do some research about this new All Elite Wrestling video game that might be coming for AEW. So smash the like button. Comment down below if you want to see me watch any more 10 things that WWE wants you to forget about so-and-so. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos, and subscribing will grant you membership into the Angel Tribe. Now, I have not promoted my fan's name in a long time, but that's still a thing. If you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, you will become part of the Angel Tribe. It's still a growing community, so that was the 10 things that WWE wanted you to forget about Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley. And I will see you guys later on where I do coverage, where I talk about all the information that we have so far on an All Elite Wrestling video game. And my name is Archangel, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.